From outer space to ancient China, here are 10 great adventures to play in 2019. Best adventure games to play in 2019? Yes, you did hear that correctly. The humble adventure game, synonymous with PC gaming since the halcyon days of the 1990s, is still about today. And things are slightly different now. Puzzles are less obtuse, interfaces have evolved, and a game doesn't need to be all about pointing and clicking to be considered part of the genre. And in fact, on this list we've tried to include games that provide the broadest and most compelling modern examples, as well as some games that feel like the oldies. Here then, in no particular order, are the 10 best adventure games to play in 2019. Let's get all the caveats out of the way immediately. Yes, Unavowed is actually from 2018. And yes, I did say we were going to find entries that challenged the traditional image of point-and-click games. But the truth is, Unavowed is still one of the best adventures to play in 2019, precisely because it takes everything great about classic point-and-click games and revitalises them. There's character choice, origin stories, decision-making, but most of all, it's the rich, engaging, relatable supernatural tale at the heart of Unavowed that means you should absolutely play it if you ever enjoyed Broken Sword, Gabriel Knight, or Grim Fandango. There's a warmth and humanity here that you rarely see in big budget releases, and by the time you reach the end of the game's satisfying climax, you'll feel like you're close friends with Unavowed's oddball cast of genies, pyromancers, and mediums.
Meeting adjourned.
The Outer Wilds is the sort of game that might stretch the definition of adventure for some people, but please stick with us, because underneath the unconventional sci-fi trimmings, there's a mystery worthy of any classical point-and-click game. It's different in that it's an open-world mystery game set during the dying moments of a solar system, in which you play the same section of time over and over until you find the answers you need. It's a loop in which you fly to a new planet, explore as quickly as the ticking clock will allow, and then die as the solar system's sun goes supernova. It sounds bizarre, but not only does it work, it ends up being one of the most compelling, cleverly intertwining experiences you can play on PC in 2019. It's an adventure that makes you join the dots and piece together the mystery, which makes it a thrilling, left-field game for anyone who enjoys a ripping intergalactic yarn. We've traditionally found reason to include the Room series in a number of list features we've done on the channel, and with good reason. That combination of utterly tantalising tactile puzzles and a sinister background narrative means that the series is the perfect way to while away an evening while still feeling like you've achieved something. And the third game, released late in 2018, builds on the incredible work of the prequels. In a typically ominous turn of events, you're lured to a remote island and confined within the rooms of a threatening mansion, and you have to solve puzzles or else to earn your freedom. It's the most ambitious, rewarding entry in the series so far. And as far as games are concerned, there are few that do a better job of making you feel like a genius, even if you just pushed all the buttons and solved puzzles accidentally. Not that I'm speaking from personal experience, of course. We've got another semi-classic style adventure in slot 4, and when I say semi-classic, what I mean is that it has all the trappings of a standard point-and-click adventure game with some very modern additions. In this sci-fi Nordic noir, you play Agent Vera England, a cybernetically enhanced investigator out to solve a murder plot. And while Vera can do all the standard point-and-click things, like look at items and describe literally everything she sees, it's her cybernetic abilities that make Whispers of a Machine unique. She can scan areas for forensic evidence and monitor interviewee reactions when she thinks they're hiding the truth. It's a simple, compelling story that's excellently told, with some great voice acting directed by Dave Gilbert. Yes, the same Dave Gilbert who made our first entry, Unavowed. He gets about. If you're looking for a refreshing, futuristic detective adventure, this will keep you busy until Disco Elysium arrives later this year.
See, if you were any smarter, you'd have a great comeback there.
Stories Untold, the previous game from British studio No Code, was a great example of how you can tell stories with a variety of limited interfaces, one of the recurring elements of classic adventure games. And their most recent game, Observation, is a smart, gripping, unconventional way to follow things up. In this sci-fi thriller, you play as Sam, an AI on a space station, as you assist Dr. Emma Fisher in finding out exactly what happened to her missing crew. And that's all we're going to talk about here, because if you're even slightly interested in adventure games, 2001: A Space Odyssey, or narratives told from a totally unique perspective, this one is as essential as it gets. But is it actually an adventure game if it's only set in one location? According to observation, yes, it absolutely is. Thanks to one Indiana Jones, we've been conditioned to think adventure and archaeologist go hand in hand, even if the reality couldn't be further from the truth. And what could be more adventurous than Heaven's Vault, a game about being an archaeologist in space? As Alaya Alazra, you explore the nebula region of space with your chipper robot companion 6, gradually uncovering historical secrets that span thousands of years. The fact you have to use language to uncover the mystery does mean there's a puzzle element here, and we've included it on other lists for exactly that reason. But the character and intrigue of Heaven's Vault means it's equally worthy of inclusion here. Couple that with a striking, unconventional art style in a stunning Middle Eastern-inspired world, and you have an adventure that Dr. Henry Jones Jr. himself would be proud of.
The past is always present.
D-Ren G might be the most widely loved detective that you haven't heard of. He's China's most famous and gifted investigator, and in the Silk Rose murders, he follows the trail of a serial killer in the capital city of the Tang Dynasty. It's a tale rich with political turmoil set during the reign of the first and only female emperor of China, as the newly appointed Detective D faces his inner demons and digs into a conspiracy that will take him to the heart of the imperial court. And although it might look rather simplistic, it's a fantastically dense game with dialogue options over 45 locations and a rich historical narrative. But it's the setting itself that makes the Silk Rose murders so compelling, a lavish, lovingly made snapshot of an era and location we don't see in games often enough. If you play and love adventure games, you're probably used to things being pleasantly sedate, and they don't come much more pleasant or much more sedate than Eastshade. This genteel adventure has you exploring an island of wafting trees and luscious flora, making a living as a travelling painter. You have to converse with the animal-headed inhabitants and capture this beautiful world on canvas, but it's a game you can play at your own pace. It's like being inside Bob Ross's mind. The only things you need to worry about here are whether or not you've got enough canvas and if the view you're painting is as pretty as it can be. And there's a story here too that kicks off with you being shipwrecked and finding your place in the world that you're stuck in. And if you want more games to inspire your inner artist, hit that link on screen now.
Welcome back. Are you ready to play some creative games? Good. Come on up here and let's get started.
If you're into Lovecraft and story-driven games, there's a chance you've already played The Sinking City, a compelling, if aggressively damp take on the works of the author. But if you fancy all of the lore and less of the despair, then Gibbous: A Cthulhu Adventure is like a clean, crisp comedy mouthwash. In it, an oddball trio of a hard-boiled gumshoe, a flippant librarian and a sassy cat, yes, an actual cat, find themselves in the crosshairs of a typically sinister Lovecraftian cult looking for none other than the Necronomicon. It's a standard plot then, but the execution is deftly handled. The animation is gorgeous, the setting enjoyable, and the jokes are bright and snappy. It's also not afraid to smash the fourth wall, so it's full of adventure game references that hardcore point-and-click fans will love. Although you should be warned that not all of those boundary-breaking jibes will make you feel good about yourself.
I just like to watch them, sitting there, clicking their little lives away.
Shenmue definitely puts a lot of the action in action-adventure, but less so than its spiritual successor, the incredible Yakuza games. And there's something about playing as teenage martial artist Ryo Hazuki in a sleepy 80s town that really feels like a nostalgic punch to the chest. You can spend your money on gachapon machines, while away the hours playing old arcades, and take on any number of compelling distractions to delay the inevitable process of tracking down the man who killed your farmer. It's a gripping story in a world that still feels dense and interesting, even if some of the systems are fiddly by modern standards. And with Shenmue 3 arriving later in 2019, now is the time to give it a go. At least you won't have 18 literal years to wait like the rest of us. Talk about revenge being a dish served cold.
Why you...
And there you go. Don't forget to examine the like button if you enjoyed this vid, and make sure you let us know your favourites in the comments below. And while you're at it, why not try combining the subscribe button with the mouse pointer so you never miss another Logitech G video. Thank you very much for watching.